Hello, everybody. Welcome to Life Chat Podcast. Thank you for joining me this evening. Thank you for joining us tonight. Happy holidays to everybody. Um, I just want to start off by saying today has been a beautiful day. I've been, first of all, just happy to be in contact with people that I have in my life that have been supportive, the people that have been rooting for me and cheering me on. I have been able to go out and explore and treat myself to things and just be just to be positive in society, be positive in community, and be positive within myself, and be a better person than I was yesterday. Which leads me into the topic for tonight, which is living a fulfilling life. And at this point in my life, this right here, what I'm doing right now, behind this microphone, in front of this screen, this is fulfilling to me, because the fact that I always had goals, always had aspirations and dreams, but I was unable to follow them through and see them through because of the lifestyle I was living. I'm still working and still building myself a better individual, a better person, a man, a better father, a better brother, so on and so forth, et cetera, et cetera. But the only way that I'm going to continue to be able to do this is to um, just remain clean, remain sober. You know that majority of the time when I talk, when I have my episodes, my podcast, I always throw little pieces in there about my addiction, because that's a huge part of my story. Without that part of my story, this wouldn't be possible, because I probably would never have moved forward in trying to better myself, because I wouldn't have had anything to move better, move toward, because it wasn't, if I didn't address the issue, then what was left?
Mm.
Um, so with all that being said, I just want to say again, thank you all for joining me tonight. For the people that are watching, for the people that will watch the video later. But tonight I have a very special guest, a woman that is an integral part in my recovery, because the fact that, and just let y'all know, we already discussed it. I can say certain things. Um, she was my aftercare coordinator at the rehab that I was at, Avenues Recovery Center in Cambridge. And I thank them so much, and I thank Jen so much. But not to make a long story short, to make a long story short, here is Miss Jennifer Wysong. Jennifer, thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you
Or
so much for having
should
me,
I call you should I call you Jennifer? But
Jennifer.
no, but Jennifer, Jennifer, Jennifer. But thank you for being here tonight, and thank you for taking on this uh, episode for tonight and helping me out with breaking down what uh, living a fulfilling life looks like to you.
Yeah,
Um,
thank you so much for
I'm
having me.
going
I'm
to
so excited.
give little bits and pieces, but I want you to uh, share on what living a fulfilling life looks like to you, and what if you get to the point of living this fulfilling life that you're living in.
Sorry, it broke up a little bit.
I'm waiting for you to share about living a fulfilling life looks like to you, and how what was the process for you to get to this point.
So, first, I just want to say thank you so much for having me on your podcast. I am super stoked. Super proud of you. Just watching your journey and
Thank
watching
you.
you grow. It's just been beautiful. It's been amazing. And like you said, working for Avenues as the alumni coordinator and getting to meet so many amazing, beautiful, talented people and watching them, find out who they are and what they're good at, what they like. It's an amazing, I don't even consider it a job. It's just something that I can't explain. So just to see you bring, to fruition your dreams and goals has been amazing. So I am a person in long-term recovery. May I celebrated 8 years. So, it's been a lot. It's been up and down. It's been um, great things. It's been some hard things that have happened, but you know, there's never been a moment that I haven't been chasing that dream, right? Chasing that goal and um just being hungry for more, which has to do with the fulfilling life, right? The topic of tonight. And what does that really mean? Like, what is the meat and potatoes of that? And I think it's broken down into a lot of different things. It starts with gratitude for me. Um, waking up every day, being grateful saves me so much heartache, so much stress because in my eyes, like where my addiction took me, um, you know, I I feel like I'm living on borrowed time at this point, like I had a second chance at life. And so I wake up grateful just in general that I woke up. And I think that's super important to start each day with gratitude. That being said, finding purpose, um, if we are kind of aimlessly walking around life, right? And we don't really know why are we here? What is the point? What am I doing? Where do I go next? Um, we don't really have that motivation, that drive to want to do better. So for myself, the thing that's been pivotal in changing my life and being successful thus far is finding purpose. And in doing so, I learned what I love is helping other people in recovery. Um, like I said, May I had 8 years, and pretty much almost seven, I've worked in the recovery field, um, which is not always recommended to people in early recovery right away to start. But for me, it's been so fulfilling. I can't even begin to express, the things that I've seen and been a part of, and just like helping one person brings so much joy and fulfillment in my life. It drives me to keep going, you know?
So
Do you want
when
me
you
to keep
mentioned
going?
about seeing, when you mentioned about the one person, about seeing one person, I guess you're going to say, I guess I was going to want to say, see one person get it or one person work toward achievement, and just that makes you feel, that's your fulfillment, just to reach
Mhm.
one individual to see them grow is fulfilling to you. So with that being said, how has it been for you watching multiple people
Mm,
uh, reach for the stars and achieve their goal? Because you've seen a lot of us
so
uh,
many.
uh, leave the building and come out of the gates flying and achieve things and not go
Mhm.
straight back out and use and fall off. So how does that make you feel? I mean, how does that? I can only imagine how that makes you feel.
I mean, honestly, so we have over 1,500 successful alumni that have graduated through this program. And, you know, I've been here since almost the very beginning of the opening of the doors here. So I pretty much know each and every person that's walked through this door. And I never really like internalize it as like you did that, like you're helping them, but um I'm a part of their story. And I'm that person
Definitely,
that they know that they can call, and I try my best to be there, and I think it helps me more than it helps them. I don't know if that makes sense. Um, you know,
yeah,
yeah, like I can give them advice and I can give them help, but being able to be reliable, to give good advice, to help somebody out through a hard time, to celebrate somebody's successes. Like that was never who I was. When I was in active addiction, I didn't have friends. I didn't have people that called me for advice or to hang out or go do exciting things. So, it is a beautiful thing. It's super fulfilling
yeah,
to be in the role that I'm in. And even outside of work, like, finding purpose and passion outside of work has been a struggle, which I think a lot of people that work in the recovery field while also being in recovery struggle with because it kind of
as recovery.
overlaps. Yeah, because you're like, well, I work in recovery, and then you fall off on your own recovery. And so in the years that have passed, like, I have been victim to that, feeling like I don't really need to go to meetings as much. And um it's it's so what's the word? I guess it's just eye-opening to realize that I'm not exempt from anything, and, like, all the advice I give to you, I need to give to myself as well. Um, I still need meetings, I still need a network and a higher power, and um, self-care, and to continue to do things that benefit me and fill my cup, so that way when I pour it out to everyone else, I'm not left feeling unfulfilled. I still have that fulfillment. So it's a balance, it's a juggling act to be able to help other people because you feel like it's your purpose, and it drives you, but also still give yourself enough love and um, compassion and grace, and focus on what makes you happy, because there's a difference between having a purpose that fulfills you and then things that you love to do in life that fulfill you. Because if I separate the two, like, really, I love to be alone, I love to read, I love to go on nature hikes.
Join the
And
club. Join the club.
yeah. And it's so funny because, like, isolation, right? It's like the worst thing. But really, it's not so much that I want to be lonely and, like, isolate. Like, I think being able to enjoy time alone and do things that fill me up and bring me peace. I think that's the difference, right? Because we can lay in bed
I
and
get
we
it.
can be
Believe me, I get
miserable.
it.
Right. And and I can hang out with other people too, but, like, really keeping the difference between passion and purpose separate, and doing things that make me happy. I think those are um really important. And and I think another thing that I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Yes Man with Jim Carrey. Have you ever seen that movie?
No,
Oh,
no,
it okay, so all the viewers and to
no.
y'all gotta watch that movie, Yes Man.
I wonder
So
where this fit,
so
where this fits in.
so he decides, because his life is going to shit or crap, sorry. He's going to start saying yes to everything. And he's going to say yes to, like, the weirdest things. He's saying yes to loans and yes to, like, weird advertisements and email, whatever. But what happens is he ends up making all these friends and having these wild adventures and just doing things that he never imagined in his life that he would do. And so when I got clean, I decided to be that yes man, right? And I was like, I'm going to say yes to, like, things that I wouldn't normally do and try new, exciting, adventurous things. And, because for a long time, like, my life was really dark. I was at a point
Hmm.
where I didn't really have any drive to keep going or want or will. And so when I got clean, I had to kind of dig deep and find that will to live, and find out who I was, because I didn't even know who that person was. So that being said, something came across my screen and I wanted to get a t-shirt for free. So I said yes to sign up for something, and it ended up changing my life, and being a part of a documentary, through Shatterproof, and becoming an advocate and speaking on multiple platforms, all because I decided to change my perspective and set goals, um, and seek out happiness and joy. So that was my main thing. I was like, I got to keep setting goals and keep striving to achieve the next goal, and see where I can go from here. The sky's the limit. Kind of like what you're doing with this.
Right. And like, when you sometimes I think that I know personally, I'm just gonna speak for me right now. I know that I shortchange myself. You know,
Mm.
that's why I saw myself short, and that like self-doubt kicks in, and then just not having that belief that I can do something, not like I can't move forward, and it takes away from that fulfillment. It might be something that I really like doing, such as this, or making music, or whatever I'm doing, and then
Mm.
something will happen, and that little piece of self-doubt will kick in, and it'll stop me from moving forward, stop my progress, because I'm just down on myself. I walk away, I put it down, push it to the side, and give up. But then I also have to remember why I even started.
Mm.
What I even started for. There has to be another purpose. And like the driving force behind that is remembering where I came from, where I started at. So the whole purpose part kicks in. It all plays a part with living a fulfilling life. What is the purpose? And
Mhm.
we did an episode a couple weeks ago with purpose and direction. So it basically ties into this one. The purpose and direction leads to the fulfillment, the life fulfillment, fulfilling life, living a fulfilling life.
Yeah.
So I said all that, and I rambled on just to get back to this part, the key part to me, which is the key part. When did you realize that you wanted to do something about your situation, about being the addict, about not wanting to continue on down that path? Because I know for me, it took um, a couple of situations that happened in 2018 when I started this journey.
Mhm.
Um, 2018, I went to I guess it's considered a shelter. I went to Sojourners in Wilmington, and I said I was tired. I was ready to give up. I threw in the towel, and I wanted to do something different. I had tried, and I worked in the field of recovery. I
Mhm.
worked for a couple of different agencies, and just like you said, I had it. That's what happened to me. I was going to meetings. I was under sponsorship. I stopped going to meet. I slowed down going to meetings because I considered my job as being enough. My
Mhm.
job was enough to sustain me throughout my addiction. I'm watching other people come in and go through the same thing I was going through, and some may have been worse, some may have been not as bad, but regardless, um, they were in the same situation that I could identify with. So I used that as my support,
Mhm.
and I fell off the wagon. It didn't work. It didn't work for me, and it kept me out there. It kept me on a run. And you hit it. You hit it on the nail. You hit the nail on the head when you said about um, using that as your, I guess, using your job as your meeting, I guess,
Yeah,
or
like
using your
using that
job
as your
as your
recovery. Mhm.
stronghold. And it didn't. Yeah, it don't work at all. But so
Mhm.
when did you realize that this is what you wanted to do? This is what you wanted to do. This was your lifetime commitment.
So, I did not wanna get clean, first and foremost. I was okay with the way I was living. Apparently, Maryland government was not, so whatever. Um, you know, I got into legal trouble. I was in IOP. I kept trying to do things my way, and my way does not work. No matter how many different ways I spin it, no matter how many, things that I'll try a little of this, a little of that, it doesn't work. And you know, I knew that what I was doing wasn't working. But at the moment that I was in all of that, I I didn't know or see a way out, and I didn't really feel worthy of being clean or having a better life. And I never really saw that it was possible for things to get better. So that being said, I've been to jail 3 times. And rehab twice. And I was in IOP and I kept giving them dirty urines. And my IOP teacher person was like, "You're going to treatment or I'm reporting you to your PO," which I was facing 5 years in prison at the time. And I'm like, skirt, like, hold up. We ain't going to have to do all that. We don't need to do all that. Because
That'll
I'm
do
not,
it. That'll
yeah,
do it.
I'm not built for prison, so let's just, we're gonna pump the brakes on that. But also like my disease was like, bro, you ain't trying to go to rehab either. So I tried so hard, but she was just not having it. And so again, here I am finding myself back into treatment, not for myself. Each time I went, it was for somebody else, family or whatever it was. Which most of the time, like I would say like 8 times out of 10 people that go into treatment don't really go because they're like, wanting to. It's usually an underlying reason that they get into treatment. And then either you get
Other
it or you don't
people
get it. Yeah, other people, legal issues,
trying to,
whatever it is.
yeah,
Yeah, so it's very rare that somebody's like, "I just walked in, because I need my life to change." It's just rare. It happens, but it's rare. So I was one of those people that did not gracefully walk in to treatment, and I was on probation, and and my mindset was, let me go in here, do this little 20-day bid, and get these people off my back and then get off the papers because I just wanted, to not be on probation. So that way I could do what I wanted to do, which was live life using successfully because I was delusional
yeah.
and thought that that was, a thing.
It was,
Yeah.
thought it was
And
possible. Yeah.
yeah, really, I was like, I wish everybody would leave me alone. I'm doing my own thing. I really was delusional. I'm not hurting anybody. I don't know what everybody's problem is. Like, why is it such a big deal? And oh, hello. And
Oh, yes.
so I guess a couple weeks into my stay at treatment, I was just I was at a loss, and I was like, you know, the only thing I keep hearing to do is find a higher power. Find a higher power, find your surrendering moment, take your hands off the wheel, stop trying to put your hands in everything, stop trying to control everything because your way doesn't work. The things that we hear all the time. And something just happened one night where I got down on my hands and knees, I mean my knees and prayed and I was just like, God, can you take this obsessive thought out of my mind? Like we can stop using, but if you know what it's like to be an addict, that thought, that looming, lingering thought that's always there. And it's always like it's in your voice, telling you that using is a good idea. Um, so it's really hard to combat that thought when it's constant. And so I prayed and I was like, I just wanted the obsessive thoughts to go away and the cravings and the desire to use because I knew I wanted something different, but I didn't know how to do it. And so basically, I woke up the next morning and it was gone. The cravings to use and the
Craving.
thoughts, that obsessive thoughts. And, I didn't know why, but I didn't really question it. And I felt better. I felt lighter. And I think that moment, and I didn't know it then, but I know it now, was the moment I surrendered to the disease of addiction, and it was actually like a beautiful moment, spiritual awakening. Um, I don't know, it was amazing. So I didn't know if it was going to last. I didn't know if I even wanted to stay clean forever, but I knew that this was like my only moment to really try. And I remember saying, like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to try it completely clean. And not to knock anybody on maintenance or anything, but I knew my history with maintenance that I was going to end up relapsing if I got back on it.
It's
So,
a lot. It's a lot. You're not the only one.
yeah,
It's a lot. That's a lot.
yeah. Because I know once I change that mind altering substance gets in my brain, I'm going to be like, that's not what I want and go after what I really want. That's just for me,
Hmm.
So when I got out of treatment, my IOP people were like trying to get me back on maintenance and stuff. And I was like, but I'm clean, which is wild for me to say because that's not who I used to be. I'd be like, yeah, I'm going to need that. But I didn't want it because I wanted to see what life was like completely clean and sober, no mood or mind altering substances, to see if I can actually do it. Because honestly, I didn't know if I could or if I wanted to. And then just one day after another, and I got 6 months and I got a year. I was off probation. I had nobody telling me I had to do it, and I was still clean. And that's when I
Right.
knew that I was like, I might be able to do this. When you got somebody holding you
It's
accountable,
possible.
yeah, like jail's a good motivator for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
a lot of
Yeah.
people can stay
Even though that
clean.
time counts.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying some people would rather do
Even
their
though that time counts. Yeah.
yeah, it's hard. But when you can stay clean knowing that nobody's, doing a UA, nobody's looking over your shoulder, nobody's gonna, you know, shake their finger, you're not gonna get in trouble if you relapse. I mean, eventually you probably would, but it proved to me that I was stronger than I gave myself credit for. And I was eager to see what I could do next. And that's what kept me going. So it wasn't necessarily that it was this like major pivotal moment. I think it was a little bit of everything that led up to, oh man, I can do this. Oh, I'm actually a little bit happier than I was when I was, smoking crack and
Happier.
doing heroin. Who would have thunk?
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely.
Um, I like waking up not wondering what I did the night before because I was blackout drunk or whatever it is. So, sorry, I'm rambling, but you know what I mean? It's just a bunch of little moments that have added up to who you see here today, one day at a time.
Well, those little moments definitely added up because I'm telling you, I haven't spent a whole lot of time in Jen's office, but what I have seen from Jen, the conversations I have had with Jen, and interaction I have with Jen, she's always like to me is like bubbly. Even though you're about your business, you're not really super overly stern, but you're always bubbly, like dancing around and I'm going to say attempting to sing. I'm going to say that because I know you can't swing at me from there. Uh, you know, you have no problem with expressing yourself in those type of ways and just
Mm.
being interacting with everybody in a group setting, like a whole building full of people, and not stand back in the corner. You always put yourself out there, and I think that's a part of just release or like setting yourself free. Just saying, here I am,
Mm.
because you've been through so many other things. What could somebody possibly say or do that could make you feel any worse? I mean, there's
Yep.
nothing. So all the bad stuff is already done. So here I am, just shine.
Mhm.
So I just want to get back to another thing. I'm always going backward. I always
You're good.
roll backward. I always revert the things. That's just what I do. I I was wanting to know what type of information, what would you have to type of information would you have to offer to somebody just coming in, somebody that may not have, they may be broken or may not have just the gumption to try to really want to go full force with this thing. What type of information or advice would you offer? Would you give to reach the level of a life of fulfillment?
Um, First and foremost, welcome, because you're not alone. There's a lot of people that struggle to kind of even have the motivation or drive to want to. I mean, I was one of them. I just told you, like, I was okay with where I was at and didn't think that I was strong enough. I think, being able to admit that your life's unmanageable, right? That's step one anyways, but if we don't admit that and
Yeah,
we're not honest with ourselves, then we don't even realize that there's a need for change. So, first and foremost, we
yeah,
have to admit that okay, maybe there's a problem. Um None of us are
maybe,
in.
just maybe.
Maybe it's a little bit, maybe it's messing up my life a little. Um you know and once you admit it, you know reaching out to help, asking anybody that there's so many people that are open and honest about being in recovery. You can use the internet to find anything that you need. um Google any type of treatment facilities, but I think what it comes down to is, you know what do you really want? Do you want to get better, or do you not? Because I say this to the clients all the time. I'm like, I can give you all the knowledge in the world. I can quote all the literature. I can give you a rule book on what not to do, what to do. But if you don't want it, at the end of the day, there's nothing anybody can do. Now, there's a difference in
I agree.
between being like miserable and depressed and really not feeling like motivated or the urge or desire to get help, and then being like, I don't really care, like I'm happy with how my life is and I don't
Yeah,
really want to change. So I think being honest with
yeah.
yourself and knowing where you're at, like, um but it's so worth it. Like, I really wish I could bottle up recovery, and I would give it away for free. I would wanna sell it, but I wouldn't, you know what I'm saying? Because like, times is hard and, like, life is life, and right
It's,
now it's Christmas time, but I would give it away for free.
life is
Um,
life, and
and,
like you do remember the time. You do you remember the time when you first came in, you first I guess I'm gonna say the first maybe month or so
the pink
that you worked
cloud.
on, you were trying to get clean, and yeah, and that thing in your mind was saying, well, it's okay, you can just come on back, you can use it, you can use successfully, you can use one time
Mm,
and nobody will know. It's like the same
mm-mm.
situation. Like when people come in and you're trying to offer them that advice or offer them that push, give them that push, and it's still in the back of their mind, just go back out and try it one more time. But unfortunately, a
Yeah.
lot of times now we see it every day because I know I've seen it. I haven't done it. I haven't, been in that situation, but I've seen it myself where people say, "I'm just gonna go, just leave the building," and we hear about them dead.
Mhm.
And I
I've been
always say
to a
it's
lot
not
of
just
funerals
about
of people that
uh,
do just one more.
yeah, just leave. When I was there, when I was in the rehab, when I was in the avenues, we seen it all the time. Like somebody just go, just leave the building and pack the stuff and go, or just leave the stuff and just go out the building and leave and go wherever they're going and use.
Mhm.
And the following day, getting news that they died. Even even within the facility because it don't discriminate. It
No.
don't matter
I
with
mean,
color, with race, with age, none of that.
nope, it does not care, and it's the sad reality of it, and, it is hard. It's hard to go through it, and, back in the day, like, when we were younger, I would say, like, preteen to teen growing up, heroin was not as prevalent today as it is today, but even when it was being used or around, like, you'd have to, like, use a whole bunch to overdose, you know what I mean? And
Much.
it was rare. And now, it's the fentanyl, it's laced in everything, and it doesn't take anything to kill you, especially if you've gotten clean and then you go back out for that one more, it's gonna take you out.
Yeah, the system's not ready
And
for that.
nah. And it sucks because in the big book for AA, for those of you who do that, because I do both, but because my disease didn't discriminate, so I'm not going to on the 12 steps fellowships either. I'm going to read all of the literatures. It says, what's the worst thing that can happen when you take one drink? And they say nothing. That's the worst thing that can happen is nothing happens, right? So I go out to dinner after getting
Was he?
clean for a little bit and I take a drink and nothing bad happens. That's the worst possible thing because now I think I'm healed. I'm recovered. I can control it. I'm good and off to the races. Cuz I don't know if you drank like I drank or if you used like I used, but there was never one drink. I didn't even understand how people could have a glass of wine at dinner. I'm like, "Why?" Did you order
We're
the
on the same
bottle?
page. We're on the same page.
Yeah. Like
We're on the
I
same page.
if we're going out drinking,
No,
I would start with a shot, and that's how I was finish starting and finishing with shots. It was never there was no moderation, there was no pacing. So we're just built different. We're built different than normal people, and that's okay. But
more people.
normies, but I think that the difference is like realizing that we are built different and that we don't ever recover. There's no
Oh yeah,
end goal. There's no end goal for being a person in long-term recovery and then you hit 10 years or 20 years and you're no longer an addict. There's no cure.
I'm
There's
healed.
only
I'm
yeah,
healed. Yeah.
there's a daily reprieve, right? It's one day at a time. And if you don't work on it every single day, then it's just like if you're sick and you have uh, um, what is it, antibiotic, you miss a day, then you're gonna have to start all over again because you got to take
Once
it
again,
every day in a row. It's the same with us with our recovery, the self-care, the fulfilling life, like all of this stuff works together like a well-oiled machine. It's all important and it's forever. And it's a lot for a lot of people to wrap their heads around. But that's why we say stay present in the moment.
one day at a
Stay
time.
one day at a time. Sometimes it's 1 minute at a time. There was times in early recovery I was literally sitting on my hands in bed and was like, "Don't leave the house. Don't call anybody. Like just sit here, get through this moment." Cuz it can be hard. But I knew I didn't want to go back to that person. I didn't know. I didn't want to go back.
So just a couple minutes ago, you mentioned about the heroin thing, about how heroin has progressed now to the point that you don't need as much as you used to need, that a person would used to have to use.
Mhm.
But I'm like, my whole thing is I never used heroin, but I smoked crack all
Yeah.
day, every day on a regular basis, daily, drank alcohol. So with that being said, now it's to the point that that's one thing that scares me because it's not just heroin or fentanyl. This whatever this stuff is that they're mixing up is in cocaine, it's on marijuana. I hate
Mhm.
the smell of weed, so that was never a thing. But
It's in
cocaine,
that
smoking
too.
crack was enough. And it's in everything. It's
Mhm.
in crack, it's in powder cocaine, it's in marijuana, it's in pills, it's in candy, it's in edibles, everything. So you can't get away, you can't get around it, you can't get away from it or anything. So that's one thing that scares me now.
Mhm.
Not just that, but just the fact of having this feeling that I feel like I've accomplished something. I feel like
Mhm.
I've actually reached I actually worked toward reaching one of my goals, and I feel good about myself. And this is the point where I feel, back to the topic, a little bit of
Fulfilled.
fulfillment. I feel like I'm
That
playing a
part.
role. I feel like I'm playing a role in the goal that I set for myself, where I feel like um, I always say this. I may not have a lot of followers. I may not have a big platform, but I know for a fact that somebody's listening or somebody's going to watch and somebody's going to comment. Somebody's going to have some type of information that they gained
Mm.
from the episodes that we do.
Yeah.
And that's part of my fulfillment because that's the reason why I chose to do what I'm doing. Um, so just to get back on was a huge goal for me
Mhm.
because, like you said, some people don't come back from these addictions, from our addiction. It's just it's dangerous. Everything is dangerous. Not even just the use, just the environment. Being in the environment
Mhm.
is 10 times more dangerous than living a quote unquote normal lifestyle because now you're putting yourself in the line of fire, literally.
Literally, I
You
know.
know.
I've lost people to
So
suicide, to murder. People are locked up for killing people, drinking and driving. So there's multiple ways that you can destroy your life. It doesn't have to be just
um,
an overdose.
yeah, it don't have to be the overdose. You don't even have to be the person that's engaged in illegal activity no more.
Yep.
So where's the fulfillment at? Is
Mm.
there fulfillment in that? No, there's not.
Mm-mm.
But I'm glad to have you on the show. We're going to close this out, this episode of Living a Fulfilling Life. Is there anything else that you want to add, Jen, before we close this out?
I just want to say thank you so much for having me. I'm so proud of you and all that you've already accomplished. And I hope that you hit so many goals. And you know, being a part of this has been fulfilling for me as well. And I just, like I said, I'm so proud of you and thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. And thank you for taking on the episode. Thank you for being on the episode and thank you for accepting my invite. So we're going to wrap this up. Thank you for joining us tonight. For you that are watching, for those that will watch later on, thank you. Appreciate you. Support Life Chat Podcast. We do make a difference and we do recover. Recovery is possible. Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
I didn't even play my music.